I found somebody. I say you don't cross my mind. And she does.
Hi guys! We're gonna be doing like a girl talk thing. I got this from Steph Bohr. Don't know how to say her last name, but that's where I got it from. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm gonna straight just copy what she did because they were good questions, so that's what we're doing. Alright. Oh, this is Amanda. We've been friends for a while now. So, yeah.
15 years? 13? I'm telling you, they're gonna take somebody's head off.
On heartache and cheap wine. The first question is, do you think it's worth it to attempt long distance, like relationships?
That's a very, like, indecisive, that's the wrong word. What's that fucking word? Oh, shoot.
Hard?
No, there's like a bigger word, but whatever. We'll just use hard. That's a very hard topic. Because you have some people who have made it work, but then you also have some people who it ruins their entire life and their entire mindset on a relationship.
Well, I've never really had a long distance relationship, so I don't really know a lot to do with that. I think trust is obviously a big thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, I've been in a semi-relationship, a long-distance relationship, and it didn't end very at all.
Yeah. Oh my god, if a stink bug lands on me again, I'm gonna actually
That wasn't even a stink bug. But it's definitely a hard topic, and you can't say... You can't really say for sure how another person is going to react to it. Me personally, I couldn't do it. I tried for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we never actually made it official. But mine came with a lot of different responsibilities with that. Yeah. He was also in the military. It was kind of a hit or miss. And I was young. I mean, I was 16
yeah,
when I met him.
I've never really been in that situation, so I don't really know what kind of advice to give.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, I don't know if I'd do it.
If you think that you can handle it, he's about to interrupt us.
He's an idiot.
I think that if you personally think that you can handle it and you can trust somebody fully to the full extent, then go for it. I mean, the worst that's going to happen is you're not going to be able to deal with it.
Right.
And I mean, you'll never know until you actually try. But if you have trust issues, I say, I wouldn't do that.
Probably.
Because that's a hard situation.
Probably not a good way to go. This is the first and the last time I'm recording outside.
Why? That's obnoxious.
The next question is, how do I end things with someone without hurting them?
Did you really want that napkin?
You took my lighters! Woo! Oh my god!
Bless me. Sorry. What are you doing? You're not a goddamn kangaroo.
Alright, what was the question? We had to change settings because Blue ate my liner.
That's not why we had to change settings. We had to change
somebody decided the one time I start recording outside that they want to do yard work, so that's why we're here.
But now we're here, so it don't matter.
What was the question?
I don't remember. Jeez. Jeez.
How do I break up with somebody without hurting them?
Yeah, that was right.
And I think just being honest and doing it
in person. Don't do it over text. That's like the shittiest way to break up with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have the balls to break up with somebody in person, then you, not to say that you're a shitty person, because, I mean, I get, you know, nerves, but you have to also take into that other person's feelings into consideration. Like, it's not just about you and how it's going to affect you.
Yeah, and I think as soon as you, like, I mean, take a minute to think about it, but as soon as, like, you know that's what you want to do, I would tell them as soon as you feel that, instead of, like, dragging them on.
Yeah.
Because, like...
And with breaking up with somebody over text, it can be misleading. Like, messages can be misleading in general. Because you could be, like, just joking around, or, like, you know, playing a prank or whatever, and then that could really traumatize somebody.
Right.
Or even, like, just conversations in general, having them over text is a very complicated thing, because what if, you know, you're playing around with somebody and they're having a bad day, they're not reading your facial expressions or, like, your voice to know, like, hey, you know, they're just joking or whatever.
Right.
So,
just being honest, I think, is the number one. How do I stop relying on male validation, talking to boys out of boredom? Well, we've both been in a very committed relationship for like 2 years now.
But I mean...
So it's kind of hard to answer. But before that, I definitely was in that position where, like, I was so lonely to where I would talk to, like...
random people.
Guys and...
just for validation.
Right.
And I mean, even being in a committed relationship for 2 years or whatever, you still look for that validation from males. I mean... I personally have a different experience with that just because the current relationship I am in is the first man I had been with for, what, like 3 years? Mm-hmm. Before, like, I was with females other than all throughout those 3 years before I got with the guy I'm with now. And male validation isn't a big thing for me. I think mine
is... It's more of a me problem. I feel like But... I think definitely just training your mindset to not, like, try to get... It's easier said than done, but, like, say you're, like, getting ready and just, like, don't instantly think, oh, let me post a picture so some people notice me. Like,
so guys will notice me and, like,
just
text me or whatever.
Knowing that you look pretty and you feel pretty should be enough to where you get that validation from yourself instead of, like, a male perspective.
Yeah. And it's definitely hard, especially with, like, the era that we've grown up in, and plus the era that we're in now. Like, male validation is a very strong thing for a lot of people and a very important thing for a lot of people. And I think that you have to look at it in a way that, you know, if you feel good about yourself or you feel good about the decisions that you have made, then why does anybody else need to validate your feelings and your opinions?
Right.
Like, you don't need somebody to say, like, hey, you know, that color looks good on you, or, like, hey, your hair looks good today. Like, yes, that's a good feeling when somebody does compliment you, but you have to learn how to compliment yourself before you're going to be able to have people compliment you.
And same thing with, like, relationships. Like, you gotta be able to, like, have self-confidence before, like, getting into a relationship, because then, like, everything that they do, you'll, like, overthink
and,
about
like,
it.
oh, it's your fault.
You're not comfortable with your own body or, like, yourself, which, again, is easier said than done. But
for sure.
I think what really helped me with that was I was actually single for about, like, 2 years, and that really, like, helped me because I was really doing everything by myself. Like, if I felt pretty, there was nobody else there to tell me I was pretty.
Right.
Like, I just had to tell myself I was. So that really helped.
And it's hard because, like we said, like, our relationship is very strong. The relationships that we're in are very strong. And yes, they do. It is nice still in the 2 years relationship that we've been in. It's still nice to hear, you know, like, you look pretty today, or, like, you look beautiful, or, like, that outfit is really cute. Like, that's definitely still something that you look for in the relationship, but you also have to, like, look at it as, like, okay, they may not think everything that you wear or everything that you do is adorable. Like, you know, sometimes you wear stuff that you feel good in and they don't they don't necessarily think
Like,
it's the cutest thing in the world.
For example, me and her boyfriend Hayden and Chase went to Plato's Closet the other day, and I bought this like sweater, and Chase doesn't really. My old self, like, Chase doesn't really like the sweater, and he doesn't think it's very attractive, but I personally think it was really cute on me, so I just bought the sweater because I thought it was cute.
Right.
Now, my old self would be like, oh, I'm not buying it because he doesn't think it's cute, so I'm not going to buy it. You see what I mean? Like,
you have different opinions and different styles, and a lot of other people, like, our styles are completely different, clearly. Like, it's not something that you can ask, like, hey, do you think this is cute? And their answer could be yes, their answer could be no, but you can't put their opinion above yours.
Right.
Because when you do that, then that's when you're now starting to look for validation.
Too.
Right. And male validation and female validation are, like, very similar when it comes to that stuff. Like, most of the time when females talk about, like, you know, they need male validation, it's more or less towards, like, sexual things. Mm-hmm. And then, like, female validation is, like, if their best friend thinks that they look amazing, or, like, they need somebody, like, another female to tell them, like, that outfit looks good, or they're not going to wear it. Right. And that's definitely something that we have both struggled with the female validation, because, like, you want somebody at least to tell you that you look good before you wear something. Mm-hmm. And you can't really look at it in that perspective, because once you look at it in that perspective, you're like, okay, well, then I need to call this person, or, like, I need to let them see this outfit to make sure that, you know, it's okay to wear.
Right.
And then now you're depending on somebody else for what opinions you should be making by yourself. Mm. So it's definitely, like, a controversial.
Yeah, it just takes, like, time and
that's for sure.
Practice. I feel like training your mindset. The next question is, should I wait for somebody who says they're not ready for a relationship? I don't think you should wait for them just because that's wasting your own time.
Oh, yeah.
And you could be with somebody who's actually ready for one. And that's kind of like, if you think about it, you waiting for that person is wasting time with somebody who wants the same things you do. And I feel like being with somebody who has like the same goals as you is a really big thing, because like you could be dating somebody who like just wants to party all the time, and you just want to be like family oriented, and that's never going to work out because you only relate on one certain thing, so that relationship's never going to like work out really, because you don't have the same goals.
I agree.
Kind of thing.
And also, like, if somebody's telling you that they're not ready to be in a relationship, 99% of the time, they're not ready to be in a relationship with you. It's not that they're not ready in general, it's just with you.
Yeah, that's a lot of people use that to like kind of let you down easy.
Yeah. And that's no way that you should, like,
you shouldn't settle for that anyway.
Right. If my boyfriend would ever have said something like that to me, like when we first started talking, I'd be like, alright, bye. Like, I'm not waiting around for you to finish your hoe phase or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then when you're ready to actually settle down with somebody, that's not something that you should put yourself through, like, at all. Because that's a hard and an exhausted thing, because you're so ready for somebody, and, like, you know, you thought you found this person that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm not ready for that.
Right.
Like, why continue to put yourself through that mental and physical
And then again,
pain?
if you are waiting for them to get to that point, like, when do you know when the point is? Like, you guys could be, like, I mean, you can still date and them not be ready for, like...
Right, to commit.
Committed, like, serious relationship.
Right.
Like, you guys could be together for, like, 10 years and they're still not committed. And then it's like, I wasted
10 years of my life.
I wasted 10 years for nothing. Like, it's just nip it in the bud before all of that happens, just to save yourself.
If you can't have a conversation and talk about your future without them getting uncomfortable, then at that point, you know, like, alright, this is not what I want for myself.
And you can usually seek that out if you're, like, talking about, like,
kids or
weddings or whatever, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, if they respond like that, that's...
Yeah.
And I've been in relationships where I talk about that and then they respond with that, and it's just like, okay, well, we're obviously not headed in the same direction.
Yeah.
So, like...
And you also have to be able to read that person, because, like, when her and her boyfriend talk about, like, their wedding and everything, like, they're all both, like, you know, ready for that. Like, obviously not ready at the moment, but, like, they want that.
Yeah.
And then you have me and my boyfriend who our relationship isn't, like, we joke more than anything. So, like, I'll say something about him, like, I'm not getting married. Or, like, he'll say something, like, I'm not marrying you.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of
different.
like, you have to be able to read that type of stuff. Like, if he was to ever act like if it was brought up in a conversation and he did, like, the whoa thing, like, no, absolutely
yeah, and, like,
not.
if you're having a genuine, serious conversation, and they're like, whoa, I don't want to talk about that.
Right, like, the moment
Yeah, that's a no-go.
That's when you're done. Like, that's, alright, this is not for me, this is not what I want. Like, I love you, like, you could have been my forever person, but you chose that you didn't want this, so now here we are.
And that's not their fault, that's just they're just not into that. And that's fine, that's just not your person, because neither one of you have to be miserable if you don't.
There's no point of being miserable. If somebody doesn't want to or even if somebody doesn't want to have a future with you in a relationship a type of way, then so be it. Like, you can still be friends, but not be in a relationship, and they're still in your life. Mm-hmm. Like, I have my best friend per se, like, I'm not going to say his name because it'd probably be a little weird, but my best friend per se, we had this, like, 1 month little thing that, we thought we were in love with each other. And I could never look at him like that. Like, that's my best friend. We've been friends since I was 5.
Especially since once you're in, like, a actual, like, relationship that you've actually...
Like, you feel genuinely loved in.
Yeah.
It kind of brings a lot of it to light. Like, what was I doing?
What was I thinking? Like,
that's my best friend.
And usually when you are in that, like, position and you are, like, saying you have feelings for that person, it's just because you're lonely.
And you're bored. I was bored. I was done with the little, like, I was bored. Mm-hmm. That wasn't for me. But that's also at the time that I was, like, realizing that I was actually into females, too.
Right.
So it was kind of like that middle ground of, like, he's my comfort person. I know he's going to support me no matter what.
Right.
And I clung to that. Mm-hmm. And then I've known my boyfriend for a while, but, like, when we started, like, reconnecting, like, he became the person that I wanted to go to for everything. Like, that was now my comfort person. Mm-hmm. And then it worked out in the end. Like, we have the same goals. We have the same mindset. Like, we want to spend the rest of our life together. It's kind of, that person when you meet them and you click.
And that sounds really cheesy, but it's, like,
and it's true. Like, you can't...
It's just, like... when you can bring up that stuff and they're just kind of like
go with the flow.
They just agree with it.
Right.
It's so less stressful. Like, it literally puts so much
joy in your heart. Like,
and all the weight is, like, lifted.
Right.
Because you don't have to argue about that, or, like, there's so many arguments that are made just because you're not right for each other.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't think many people talk about that. Like, obviously, you still have arguments in a relationship.
Well,
you're two, like, singular people. You're gonna have arguments. But I feel like...
A bug just smacked the window. Scared the shit out of me.
Was it a stink bug?
I don't know what it was, but it smacked hard as hell.
The next question is advice on how to forget your past experiences that kind of hit you really hard, or, like, just bad experiences in general. I don't think you're ever gonna forget those.
You're never gonna forget.
It just kind of goes in the back of your head a little bit more the more time goes on.
You definitely... We've had 2 different traumas, per se, in our life. Like, we were brought up in 2 different ways. Mm-hmm. Like, my trauma leads more towards, like, family trauma, and hers leans more towards one person, to say the least. Like, mine's more of a combined group, and hers is more or less one person. So it's kind of, we've got over our trauma in different ways.
And I think, like, just thinking of it in a more positive way, like, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be
like, the person I am today.
Exactly. So, like, just thinking of it like that kind of makes it...
Yeah.
And it just depends on, like, how long ago it happened, because if it was a good amount of time, you kind of, like, you still...
Oh, yeah?
You still think about it, but it's not, like, on your brain.
Like, I think the most traumatic thing that, like, I've been through happened my freshman year of high school. clearly I'm, 2 years graduated from high school, so it's been like at a decent amount of time where, I've been able to move past it. Like, it's definitely still a daily struggle, and especially with, like, what happened. Like, it's definitely...
No, honey.
It's definitely something that I struggled with for a long time, and I made it, like, not to say, like, my personality, but I made it, like, a very big... This video is chaos.
Huh?
This video is chaos. I don't know, I've moved on from it in a very different way, and it took a very long time. And honestly, until I met who I'm with now, he helped me get through a lot of it, plus having a supportive best friend, plus having a lot of a support system. I think that's probably the best way to get over trauma, is having a good support system, having that person that you can go to no matter what. Like, if you're having a bad time, that person isn't going to judge you.
Right.
And it's definitely hard, like, to bring somebody in that wasn't there, that didn't experience that trauma with you, and then still having to, like, move past the trauma, because she's been here through it all. Like, she knew what happened, she knew what I was going through. Like, it wasn't just like, she came in and I was already, like, the trauma had already happened.
And also having a support system that you obviously have history with definitely helps. I don't know, I feel like you can have a support system that you've only been friends with for like 2 or 3 years, even 1 year. It really just depends on how comfortable you are with them, but I think having history between the two of you definitely helps.
Yeah. And having more than one support person helps.
Right.
Like, you can have a support person who has experienced all that with you, but then having somebody who didn't go through it with you, having a different outlook on it.
And it's not wasting any energy anymore, because you don't have to explain to them, because they already know. So it's like, you can literally just give them a look and they already understand.
Right.
Because they were obviously there for it, so you don't have to waste your breath explaining.
Yeah.
That always drives me insane when I'm trying to, like, describe why I'm hurt to somebody, but which it isn't their fault, but they're always like, okay, but what happened? And I'm like, I have to explain again, and it just feels like you're wasting your energy. But, like, say if I call her, she already knows everything, so it's like, I don't know, I can just explain what I want to explain without
having to go into definite. And just like the other day, we were all hanging out, and it's always just 4 of us. It's me, her, and her boyfriend, or my boyfriend, and we were all hanging out, we were having a good time or whatever. Well, then she had a panic attack, and we've been friends for 15 years. I know how to deal with it a lot better than, say, her boyfriend. And in this incident, it was her boyfriend. Like, he was so overwhelmed. He didn't know what to do. And, like, the moment she seen me...
And obviously we've been together for 2 years, but once we have been together longer, he will obviously learn. Like, she has seizures sometimes, and her boyfriend has obviously learned. She has them more frequent than I have panic attacks, so he knows how to deal with it now. Yeah. But Amanda obviously knows how to deal with my panic attacks.
Yeah, for sure.
Better, just because she's been along for the ride.
Right, and then, like, like, the moment she's seen me, she took, like, a deep breath. She realized, like, okay, she's here, I'll be okay. Like, not that she didn't feel okay with her boyfriend, because she did. She was comfortable. She knew he was her comfort person. But having somebody who knows how to deal with it, and somebody who's comfortable within themselves to help you deal with that, is a big, big issue. Because he's not as comfortable as I am to deal with something like that. Like, she was sitting on the floor having a panic attack.
And
I sat down with her.
And to somebody who's never, like, witnessed a panic attack, it is scary.
It is.
I mean, seeing a seizure is scary for me, because I've never had.
Right.
Like, I'm not, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not, I can't find the word. If
you're not experienced, if you're not well equipped, to deal with that certain situation, you're not going to be able to deal with it. Like, it's going to freak you out. And, like, he was pacing back and forth, and, I calmly sat in front of her on the ground and told her, like, you're going to be okay. You need to calm down.
Right.
Like, you can't. And with people who don't understand panic attacks, they ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's not helpful. That's not something that you can do. You have to be able to be like, all right, this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to do, and you'll be okay.
Right.
Like, you have to be stern with it. You can't sugarcoat it, because then they're not going to bring themselves out of it. Like, I'm not saying be mean, but I'm also saying don't be super loving and super, like, you can't.
Right.
Because if I was, like, trying to comfort her.
But I mean, if I understand what you're saying too, but if Chase was having one, I would definitely do the same thing, just because that is your person.
Right. I agree.
But yeah, definitely doing that, because that kind of like, okay, drop it now. Like,
I'm fine.
It's easier to be like, okay, if you're asking questions, it's like, I don't know, am I fine? Can I breathe?
I can't breathe.
You know.
And you're asking me, like, hey, can you breathe? No, I can't breathe, but I can't tell you I can't breathe, so I'm going to ask you, like, can I breathe?
Right.
And then, like, with somebody who's, like, well-equipped, to say the least, like, with dealing with that, you're like, breathe, you're going to be fine, like, you have to breathe. There's no question, like, there's no, like, are you going to be able to breathe? It's breathe, you need to calm down. It's kind of like having, and that, like, leads back to having that support system who you feel like fully comfortable with, and they know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of a hit or miss, because I mean, I know some people don't have support systems, but you can find a support system within anything. You can find a support system within something that you feel happy while you're doing, like drawing or reading or like whatever, or working out, like whatever you feel comfortable with, that can be your support system. It doesn't have to be a person.
Right.
It can be an animal, it can be a thing, it can literally be anything.
And also, like, in this day and age, there's so many things that you can, like...
Right.
I know there's, like, an app where you can, like, talk to a therapist or something, or, like, there's so many different sources that you could use. I know it's obviously easier having a person and...
not having to find somebody new.
Right.
I mean, we just said that. But, I mean, if you really want to work through something, then having a support system or having a support thing, to say the least, is probably your best option. Like, you're one person. You can only handle so much stress. And once you've handled as much as you can handle, you're done. Yeah. And then that's when you start to go out of, like, I can work through this mindset, and you go to, like, I'm done, I can't work through it no more. Like, you can't do that, to say the least.
We're probably going to do one more question, and that will probably be it for this video. Let me just find the question first. The next question I'm really bad at, and she's really good at.
Yeah.
You make a lot of friends very easily. It's how to make a lot of, like, friends. She said girlfriends, but I'm gonna say, like, friends in general, because, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm more cling to, like, guy friends.
Yeah, because girls have a lot of drama.
Like, recently I've gotten really close with her boyfriend just because, like...
they hang out all the time.
Yeah, and I grew up just having guy friends. My boyfriend was my guy friend, so...
I've been friends with her boyfriend for how many years? 6 years going now?
Yeah, but I think a good way to make friends is just not letting yourself, like, overthink it. Just initiate a conversation. It's, again, easier said than done, like I've said, but I think just being yourself and being open, definitely. I've noticed, like, 5 years ago, I would never do this, but I notice when I do initiate a conversation, like, say at my work, I'm a janitor at my work, and there's regulars that come in, and when I do initiate a conversation, every single time they come back in, they initiate a conversation with me. So now it's becoming like more acquaintances, but that's how it works with friendships too. Like, if you really click, you can just kind of, like, start hanging out more, and that's usually how it works. But she definitely does that more than me.
I don't mind just me talking to people. Just it is easy for me. Like, it's never been a problem for me to go out and, like, start a conversation. Like, even in school, like, I would literally talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I look at it as if you're going to talk to somebody, then make it worth your while. Like, don't just, how are you doing? Like, actually start a conversation.
And I think definitely starting a conversation that has a lot of, like,
different
like,
aspects.
Not like, how are you doing today? Then they can just say good and then it'll be done.
Different
like,
topics, like,
Yeah.
a general all over.
Yeah, like, did you see what happened in the news today? Or, like, did you, I don't know, something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, did you get a new update on your phone? Like, I don't know.
Like, just generally, like,
questions that will get a longer answer than just, like, a one-word answer.
Or just be like this girl, I was at my little sister's softball game the other day, and I was standing in line for the concession stand waiting to get water, and I told her that I liked her hair, like the color of her hair was super pretty.
Right.
And then that led to another, like, conversation about my hair, like, what hair dye we used, and then we just started talking, and we were standing in this line for forever, it felt like. And then we were talking about the, like, baseball game that was going on next to us and the softball game that was going on next to us. And it was like a 25-minute conversation.
Like, I feel like giving a compliment about what they're, like, where'd you get that shirt at? Or, like,
that shirt's really cute. Like, you just, giving a compliment is definitely a good way to start a conversation. Like, that's one of the main ways that I start conversations with people. Or, like, when I was I worked at a daycare for almost a year. And having a conversation with, like, the parents, like, obviously that's easier because you're telling them how their kid's day went.
Right.
But, like, I got super close with one of the parents that their kid was in my class, and, like, every day she would come in, she would say hi, we'd have, like, a 15-minute conversation, or, like, when she came and picked him up, like, how was his day, like, what did he do today, did you guys have a good day, like, just generalized conversations, and then after that, like, now I'm friends with the girl, like, we still talk. And I don't even work there anymore. Like, she texted me the other day and was like, hey, would you mind to babysit him for me while, I go out or whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure. Just let me know when you need me to come over. And now we have a relationship with each other where, we're not, like, super close friends, but, like, I can say, like, yeah, I know her. She's my friend.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays the only way to, like, kind of keep in contact with people, like, if you really feel like you have a strong connection with somebody and you want to keep talking to them, whether it be, like, friendship or relationship, anything like that, I just don't overthink getting their number. Because I feel like I overthink that so much. Like, when I meet somebody and I feel like I'd be really good friends with them, I either add them on Snapchat or, like, get their number. I'm like, hey, what's your Snapchat? Like, don't be afraid to just be like, hey, what's this? Hey, what's that? Because then after that, you guys can just have random conversations and you don't have to be in person for them. I always had anxiety thinking, like, I would look, like,
a
weird or... Yeah. But they really don't care.
Like, even, like, the other day, we were sitting... we were all hanging out and we were sitting outside, and she was like, I don't even have your number, talking to my boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you've been friends with him for almost a year. How do you not have his number? Like, it's crazy to me that people really don't do that. Like, you don't ask for somebody's number.
Well, that situation's kind of different because I do see him every single weekend because we do hang out every single weekend.
We stay with each other every weekend, yeah, so that is a very true statement.
So it's like, I don't really need your number because I'm going to see you this weekend.
And if I really needed you, like,
I have his Snapchat, so, like, if I really want it, like, and I feel like I don't really call. I, like, text unless you're, like, my boyfriend, my mom.
Or me.
Or you. That's literally it.
See, but with me, I'm not about to text you. If I need your attention right there, I'm going to call you. There's no point. Like, even with her boyfriend. Like, if I need him to answer the phone call, I'm just going to call him.
Right.
Because I'm not going to wait for you to text me back. And God forbid you try to text him. He ain't going to text you back for days. But that's a whole different topic. But, like, even with, like, anybody, even her, like, if I need something, like, if I have a question, I'm not going to text you and have to wait, like, 10, 15 minutes for you to respond to me.
Right.
Like, why would I do that? And then it makes it so much harder when you don't have somebody's number.
And I feel like it just depends, because some people answer text messages so quick and then they don't answer phone calls.
And I'm like, I know you're sitting with your phone. Like, I know you have your phone in your hand. Like, why are you not answering me? So, yeah. It's
like my boyfriend.
Yeah, that's annoying. Like, if
he doesn't answer his phone, but he answers text.
We know where he's at, and he has an AirPod in right now. If she was to call him, he would not answer.
Wait, let's see.
Let's see if he answers. My boyfriend probably wouldn't answer either if I try to call him. Let me try to call him, too. Let's see. I'm not putting mine on speaker because he's ruthless sometimes. Oh, he answered. Hi. Oh. Oh, mine
It's
hung
a
up.
full moon.
Mine hung up, so I mean, point proven.
We were doing an experiment.
Oh, okay.
Okay, bye, love you.
Well, I love you.
Mine hung up on me.
They just made us look stupid, but
Stupid as hell, but
I swear it's
to
just
God.
a full moon.
Like, let me just here. I can pull up. I'm pretty sure I'm still undelivered from her boyfriend the last time I texted him. Like, still undelivered. Look, 6 days ago. I'm not gonna show you that, but like.
That was it for this video. I had a really fun time. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
If you guys like this, we'll probably do this again. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post. Thank you guys for watching. Bye, love.
So happy.
See, that wasn't that hard.
Alright, let me call my boyfriend back now.